Welcome to the GameDev.tv Community Podcast. I'm your host KB, and I would like to introduce you to industry professionals and people who successfully made their path to the video game industry. I hope that you will enjoy the podcast and get useful tips that will bring you closer to achieving your dreams. Now, let's get right into the podcast. Welcome to the GameDev.tv podcast.
Hey,
happy to have you on. And is it David, or is it a different way to pronounce it?
Well, if you want to pronounce it like in Italian, it's Davide.
Davide?
Yeah, Davide. But I don't mind like people calling me David. You know, like it's fine. I mean, I've been living in the UK and the US for a long time, so I'm kind of used to it, and I don't mind it.
Okay. And then,
yeah.
When did you? So you used to live in Italy and then moved to the UK or US? You said.
Yeah. I mean, I moved to the UK straight after uni. And I started to work there basically, spent quite a long time, about 9 years. And then I moved to Barcelona in Spain, spent 4 years there. And then about a year and a half ago, I moved to the US. So that's where I'm based right now, in Pennsylvania, PA.
Awesome. So just give a little small introduction to the fans who don't know who you are, and then we'll go from there. But I know you're a C++ programmer, software design, you do UX and UI design, and you're one of the top problem solvers in the world.
Well, I mean, I like problem solving in general, and that's something you need to do for. I mean, that's how I see things in general. Creating like a good user interface. It's kind of like a problem solving thing, and the same is like writing the code for a game. At the end of the day, you're still solving problems. So that's why I have that in my title on LinkedIn, for example. But yeah, my main background is in software engineering. That's how I started. That's what I started basically. That's what I started to do. And then along the years, I kind of like started to focus on user interaction, user interfaces. Also because like I've been working in games and I always had a passion for games. So any kind of like interactive device or interactive application, I always prefer that over working, I don't know, on a math library, for example, So I always prefer that kind of things. I mean, I've done everything. Yeah, I really work on everything, I believe. But yeah, my preference is for interactive media.
It's more fun. It's more engaging. You see what's happening in front of you, and you can interact with it. Unlike other stuff, it's kind of the same way I feel when it comes to programming. I love it, but when it's with games, it just captures me more. When it's something else, I'm like, cool, let's get it done. But I'd rather just move on to the games.
Yeah, and it feels different. I don't know if maybe some kind of like small god complex or something.
Maybe.
But, yeah, the thing is like for me it's very different. If you create like an application, like I don't know, Word or Excel, something like that, you're creating something that's gonna follow some rules, and you know that there's gonna be like a button for giving you, for example, italic text. Or to change the size of a font, and that's it. But if you're creating a game, pretty much you're creating like a new universe, and you're setting the rules. So you're deciding what's happening, what's not, and how things are going to react to each other and to the players' interaction and players' input. So yeah, I mean it's kind of like a different thing, like for me at least, that's how I see it.
It's amazing to think that we're creating small universes, and sometimes people will do it on their own. Like I know your game, you're making it on your own, right? Yeah. So it's like, how do you handle trying to build all the rules, mechanics, art for this universe that you've created on your own that nobody else sees but you?
Yeah, okay.
Like, isn't that kind of a crazy thought to think that we're all creating mini universes? We're like mini gods.
Yeah, I mean, if you wake up in the morning and you say, "Oh, I'm almost a god. I'm creating a universe," and and you just look at yourself in a mirror and you smile, you're not gonna get much done. But
True.
but at the end of the day, you wake up, you start your machine, you see all the tasks you need to do and how long it's going to take, and you come back to Earth. So you realize, yeah, things are real. But no, seriously, I tend to divide everything into small problems.
Okay.
So I'm never really working on anything like very abstract or anything like huge. Like I'm never saying, for example, okay, today I'm going to work on the AI, because that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You know, that could be everything. So you know,
You're right.
it's not something specific. What you want to do when you create something big, like for example the game I'm working on, because that's a strategy game, so it's not like the simplest to do. You want to. It's a bit like programming, you know. You want to start creating the small bits, the small pieces, like, and then you start to put them together, and you create more mechanics based on those. So yeah, that's I think the main thing is trying to organize your work in a way that you have like the basics done, and when you have that, when you have those like implemented, you can start to build on top and create more complex things and create better things and so on. Like it's a process anyway.
No, it seems like you've managed to create this awesome process to handle a very complex game like the game you're making. Can you explain a little bit about the game you are making to the
Sure.
listeners who don't know exactly what it is?
Absolutely. The game I'm making is called Virtual, and it's a RTS game, so a real-time strategy game. But it will also feature 4X and RPG elements. That basically means that you will be able to control your units, to upgrade them, to handle them like in an RPG. Which is something that usually is not done in most RTS games. Normally, you just create, you know, like a bunch of units, and then you send them to fight with your enemy.
Yeah,
And,
it's
you know,
probably also the easier way too.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. In my case, I'm trying to create something a bit different, and that's for mostly for two reasons. The first one, I'm a solo developer, and I just cannot compete with the big players. I cannot compete with like any big company creating, you know, like a classic RTS game.
Like the Total War series.
Yeah, no, for example, something like that. I mean, there's like hundreds of people working on that. I just cannot compete. You know, that will be like silly thinking you can do that. So I have to do something different. And the approach I'm following is like to create some kind of like hybrid gameplay where RTS meets RPG, and where, for example, you're gonna have like a limited amount of units, main units you can have in the game you can control. So it will be a bit like, I don't know if you ever played games like XCOM,
I've dabbled with XCOM, I think, like for an hour, and I just didn't really get into it. But I get what you're saying. So it's like you kind of like command where the individual character kind of goes and.
Yeah, but apart from
interact.
that, like something that you could do like in XCOM, for example, was like improving and upgrading your soldiers.
Okay.
And you could, for example, you could name them. So you were kind of like getting attached to them because they were like becoming part of your you know, of your story. They were not just like a bunch of pixels on screen that you were sending against the enemy base. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Is like creating this kind of game that feels and that you can play as an RTS, a traditional RTS. So you know, like you have the standard mouse controls and all the shortcuts for everything, and so on. You navigate the map and everything. There's fog of war, all these classic elements, but I'm trying to mix that with an RPG, so you will be able to upgrade your units, and they will improve the more you use them. For example, there will be different actions. Like one of those is like conquering. One of the concepts of the game is like you have to conquer cells, because it's an isometric game, so you kind of play on this kind of like isometric grid, and you have to conquer cells, and you have to connect them to your base, to, for example, mining resources, The more a unit is doing that, the more experience he gets in that, and then at some point you can upgrade it, and you can, it's gonna get better at doing it. So it's gonna get faster, or it's gonna get new abilities and so on. So that's why that's one of the things I'm trying to do with this game, at least.
Mm-hmm. No, it looks like you're doing a phenomenal job from what I've seen. And I'm curious, is what we can see now, like, what the final version is going to look like, or is it going to be an evolved version near the end? Or
No,
is
this is very early stage. For
Okay.
this game, I decided to follow to do things a bit different than normally what like normally companies or developers do. Because normally when you see a game, probably a company or some developers have already been working on it for a year, sometimes 2 years, and then you get some kind of like, maybe not the final version, but you get something that's already pretty polished, or that's already getting there, like so you never see everything that's before that. What I'm trying to do instead is showing people things from. I started to show things people from the very beginning. When on screen I only had like some rectangles, like and for some reason people were following that as well on YouTube. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they were commenting and they were giving me tips on how to do things. I mean, they didn't mind, like that was cool. And so I'm starting to show things from the very beginning. And I usually I publish like a devlog on YouTube at least once a month. And I always mention that what you're seeing right now is just like a first iteration or a second iteration at the top of everything. So things will improve in the future. There's a lot of things planned. There's a lot of things that are going to change and are going to be better. And there's going to be more stuff coming. It will just take time. But yeah, hopefully people at some point will be able to go on YouTube, check my devlog, and see that like a year from now, the game will look similar for sure. Because I'm gonna keep the graphic style, because that's what that's the plan. But there will be a lot more stuff going on screen. Right now, everything is pretty much static. There's no animations. There's no particles yet. I just started to implement those, so there's not much, but there will be. I can tell you that. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're making an RTS on your own. I expected it to take a long time to get all that stuff in, but now it looks like you've done a lot for what you've been working on so far. Like, how long have you been working on this?
Well, kind of officially, I started around December last year.
Yeah, so oh wow, this is okay. 6 months of work and you got this. That's impressive.
And that's not full time, because I do have a day job. So I'm dedicating pretty much most of my spare time to it. Right now, I usually have only 1 day a week off. That because I go skydiving on that day, so I'm away for the full day, and I just don't touch technology on that day. It's just myself enjoying the things I like. But pretty much.
Wait, we gotta stop with we gotta start with the skydiving. You go skydiving once a week?
Yeah, I mean, I used to
That's
do
incredible. You don't ever hear anybody say that. I just go skydiving.
On this podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a licensed skydiver, and I've been doing this for over 3 years now. But yeah, I mean, it's something I love, and it's something I would like to make like part of my life in the future as a job as well. I would like, for example, to work weekends as a skydiving instructor.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, and I can tell you now that I'm also planning to use skydiving for promoting my game.
No way.
The thing is, like, there's thousands of games coming every year. So you kind of have to do something to differentiate yourself. One thing I want to try is, for example, creating some kind of commercial or a short video that's going to be like me jumping off a plane and then like landing and showing you the game or something like that. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet.
What if you do it where you skydive, right? And then maybe you have a backpack or not, just showing you had a laptop while you were about to jump. And then when you get to the bottom, you slowly, like, or as you're going slow, so maybe somehow pull it out somewhere. I don't know how you're gonna do this, but and then just be talking about the game, being like, want to check out the game, and then as you're landing, then it changes the screen to the game, and now people can see what the game's about. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of a cool idea.
Yeah. I mean, I will try to do something like that. That's the plan. I'm saving that for the final stage of development when I'll be strong on marketing. But yeah, something I would like to do, and I'm happy I can do it myself. I mean, I don't have to hire anyone to do any stunt or anything.
Because it's all you.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah. So yeah, going back to the main topic, basically, I pretty much work. Kind of like 9 to 5. I mean, for me, it's more like a 10 to 6 job.
Okay.
But pretty much when I wake up, I have breakfast. I take a while to go functional. I'm not very a morning person. So, I mean, after breakfast, I tend to go on social media, check things like something light. And then usually I work on the game for like 1-2 hours. And then I start my day job. And when I finish that,
What's your day job?
I work as a software engineer. I mean, UI software engineer and UX UI designer. So basically, I'm taking care of a project, everything related to this kind of visual UI application. So I'm designing the UX and the UI, and then I'm implementing it.
Okay. And this is the National Robotics Engineer Center?
Yeah, the NREC, which is basically part of the CMU, the Carnegie Mellon University. It's kind of like a commercial branch of the university. And that's what I've been doing here in the US since I moved here, basically. So yeah, basically I finish to work around 6, and then I usually have a kind of like a second breakfast, like you to have this kind of break.
It's not lunch, it's another breakfast?
No. I mean, 6 p.m. It's more like second breakfast for me. Yeah, 6 p.m. Yeah. I have this kind of second breakfast, like half an hour break, and then I start to work on my game again. I try to do as much as I can, but of course you cannot be super productive at the end of the day. So usually it's like a couple of hours, not always the best thing, but something I started to do almost 2 months ago is taking a day off from work every week. And that's been helping me a lot, because basically at some point 2 months ago, I realized I was not making enough progress as I wanted. And the problem is that sometimes you need more time to work on something, especially when it's programming and it's something complex. There are many things you can do like in half an hour, in an hour maybe, but there are other things you need a full morning, for example, because otherwise you're not gonna get it done, because you just need more time. And I realized the only way for me to do this without quitting my job was to basically have at least one day off and dedicate that to my game. And that's what I'm doing right now. And that's been helping me a lot. I'm very happy I'm doing that. I have a lot of holidays from last year, because pretty much last year, I believe me, like everyone else, like I didn't have a life basically. So I only used like 3 days of vacation last year, and I'm using them now for working on my game. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Thanks.
And so what day do you usually spend working on your game? To the weekend or?
Most of the time it's like this midweek day, and usually one day, Saturday or Sunday, depending when I'm home. So at least I do 2 full days, and then I try to put as many hours as I can. So yeah, I mean that's my situation right now. I have a job and I am trying to make things work. Eventually in the future, to finish this game, I will have to quit my job. I don't know yet. I haven't decided yet, but for now, that's how I'm juggling the situation.
Mm-hmm. And when you are working on a game for that 1 day or 2 days, How do you plan it out? Do you work all day on the game, or do you have like breaks in between, or do you plan it out in the beginning and then work on it the rest of the day?
Yeah, well, basically, I tend to start hard in the morning when it's like a full day,
Mm-hmm.
and I tend to do as much as I can until lunchtime. And then after lunch, I tend to be more relaxed. So I don't really kill myself, but the idea is still to do some kind of like a 9 to 5 thing, and usually more. And the good thing about being a solo developer is that, oh, it's a curse and a bless, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is like I have to do everything, which of course
Yeah,
is like it's like overwhelming
I
because
bet.
you have to do everything, but at the same time, it gives you a chance to do different things. Because, for example, it's, I think for me at least, and I believe for pretty much everyone, it's
Mm-hmm.
impossible to say, today I'm going to work for 14 hours on coding. That's not going to happen. You're going to be productive for 5, 6 hours top. And then after, your brain is just too tired. You're not going to be productive after 8 hours, 10 hours. You know, you're going to be slow. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to create just bugs. So you don't want to do that. But because I have to do everything, and everything means social media, emails, forums, graphics, whatever, anything you can think of, I can say, okay, for 5 hours, I'm working on coding, and then I'll be doing like some new graphics for 3 hours, and then for 2 hours, I'll be doing some marketing, like sharing things on forums and that kind of stuff,
Ah,
or
okay.
and so on. So even if at the end I'm busy for most of the day, I'm never doing, for example, one thing for too many hours, because that will be hard
Hmm.
and probably not very effective as well.
Yeah, it's like why work more if you're producing less when you can
Yeah.
work less?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. At some point I realize I'm not being productive. I'm just staring at the screen and just stop because there's no point.
Hmm. And so when you're going to do the programming part, how do you plan what you're going to make? Do you start off by saying, "Hey, I'm going to make maybe a situation where you can build a like a road, connect the energy crystal to the base?" Do you then figure out how you're going to do that? Do you like how do you plan that out?
Yeah, well, everything starts basically designing things on kind of like, let's say, on paper. I just
Hmm.
write things down, some documents, some ideas. I'm not super organized from that point of view. Like I don't have like a full design document, for example. And the main reason for that is that once again, I'm alone. So I don't want to spend, for example, 1 month writing the perfect design document
Yeah.
when maybe things are going to change, because like creating a game is very challenging because there are things that for sure you think in your head they're going to be fun or they're going to be interesting, but then you implement them and they're not, so you have to change them. Now if you write a full design document before starting, you're going to do the job twice, because you're going to write things, you're going to implement things, and then you have to change them.
Yeah. It's like, what's the point?
So yeah, so I have like this kind of like high level ideas that I write down, and then like for all the details, I tend to create tasks in my task manager. I use a software that's called, I mean, it's a website actually. It's a web application called ClickUp,
Hmm.
and that's, I don't know if you ever use Jira or anything like that.
No, I have not.
Okay, so basically something for organizing your tasks, and that's something I really like, as I can use it for everything I have to do. So I create like tickets, and I create like sprints. So I organize my work in blocks of 2 weeks, for example. And in these blocks of 2 weeks, I usually add, I don't know, something like 10, 12 tasks, and I work on those. And I usually tend to go pretty low level on my task. So it's never, for example, let's implement one big feature. It's mostly let's implement one particular thing, and when that's done, I go on with more. Like for example, recently I've been implementing the first defensive tower in the game,
Okay.
And one task was to code basically implement the possibility of creating a tower. So there's like an actual button that's going to allow you to create a tower. And then there was another task that was implementing the tower object. And that was like a second task. Then a third task was implementing the kind of like tower AI. So for example, the tower is going to react to enemies when they come closer, and that's still in progress. So as you can see, like you could, for example, have just one task, one ticket, or one note saying do defensive tower, and that's it. But that's going to be a lot of stuff, and also like I usually tend to create tickets and tasks for graphic things I have to do. Like in my case, because I'm doing everything, I'm not just implementing the code of the defensive tower, I'm also creating the graphics. So one task is just for that. So yeah, as I said, you could have like one ticket for creating the defensive tower, and inside of that there's everything, but that's not going to help you much. What I prefer to do is like creating these small tickets and dividing things in these little relatively tasks that are more easy to handle and to plan on.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I was looking to click up, and it looks really cool, and it looks like you can connect it with like Excel, Trello, with all these different management apps. But it's really good, and also I do agree that it's very hard to be like, hey, I'm making a program in any art. And also, I'm kind of confused on what you use to make the game. Do you use like an engine, or do you make your own engine?
No, actually, I'm doing everything from scratch, pretty much.
Everything, even the like engine?
Yeah, even the engine. Like I'm just using. I mean, I code in C++, and I use a library that's called SDL2. Mm-hmm. That's the only external thing I use basically, and that's for basic rendering. So that's helping you, like for example, rendering an image on screen. And that's helping you like getting the input from the user. So you're getting the keys or the mouse movements, something like that. But it's very, very low level. So it's pretty much nothing, like it's a multimedia library for low level stuff, and you have to build everything on top. It's not something probably I would recommend to most developers these days, but I've been doing this for a long time. I created different engines in the past. And also this game is like 2D, so it's not demanding in terms of tech as maybe a 3D game. If I had to do like a 3D game right now, I would probably use an engine, because otherwise I would be spending like years just for that. But in my case, I can still get away with it. So for now, I went for full control, yeah.
So when you say you built the engine, did you build the engine before you started making the game, or you kind of build it as you're making the game?
It's a bit of both, because basically last year I started to work on a small, simpler strategy game as well. And then at some point I realized that I wanted to do more, and I really wanted to work on a real project, because that game, that was something I was doing just for fun, I wanted to test like a touch screen basically. Mm-hmm. And I got like a big touch screen at home, like a 32 inches touch screen, and I wanted to test that. I thought, okay, let's make something cool with it. And I started to work on this little game, but then I realized that I wanted to work on a real game, and I didn't touch games in many years. Because basically I used to work in the game industry. Then at some point I went full-time indie, and things didn't go too well in the end. So I decided to take a break from game development, and that break has been about 5 years. So after those 5 years, I restarted with this little project just for fun. And in the middle of it, I realized that that's where my passion is. That's what I want to do. So I started to work on my current game. So I kind of reuse part of the code I had for that, but mostly I'm creating as long as I go. So. And also that's a strategy that I recommend to people. Usually, at least for me, that's what I experience in my life. It's better not to create everything in advance, because you never know for sure what you're going to use, what you're going to need, and so on. It's much better to try to keep things simple and add more things as long as you go. That's kind of like a more flexible, and that's kind of easier for a solo developer. Maybe things are different if you're in a team, if you have more resources and so on. But if you're a sole developer, that this at the end there's 24 hours in a day, so you have to pick your battles basically. You cannot do everything, that's for sure. So if you know that something is a maybe, don't do it. Do what you need, and then you will add that maybe later eventually.
I really love that. You said that. Do what you need. So I want to get to the part where you stopped doing game dev for 5 years. Now, for someone starting out, maybe, or thinking about doing game dev, it seems like a long time to have a break. So what was the thought process going into the let's say the failure of the indie route, and then taking a break, and then now doing it again? What was your mindset, and then how did you know it was time to go back into games?
Yeah, well, the thing is, when things went bad with my full-time indie experience, they went pretty bad. Basically, I felt completely crushed also because of the way they went. Because I was working on this mobile game and I finished it. I published it on the Google Play Store, and things were going kind of okay for a small indie developer. I was starting to get something like 1,000 new users per day the first few days, and the game was kind of growing. It was kind of okay. And then after about 5 days after the launch, my place was I was living in London at the time, and on one night there was a storm, and my place was hit by a lightning strike, and that was messed up. That basically destroyed the power unit of my computer, and that left me without internet for about 5 days, because they had to come and fix things in the system. So basically for 5 days I disappeared from the internet, and I couldn't work on the game. I didn't do anything. And in those 5 days, I lost all the progress I made with my launch. Basically, I lost momentum. And when I restarted, I tried doing more paid ads on Facebook and everything, but it just didn't work. And I realized, I was not big enough to fight that, and I let things go. I don't know. I saw that some kind of signal, the universe doesn't want me to make this game. The universe doesn't want me to do this right now. So that was, and I spent about a year and a half working on that project. I put my heart and soul. That I at the time before starting it, I was working for King, the creator of Candy Crush. And I quit that job. I left everything behind just for making things work, and in the end, they didn't work. It didn't work as expected. So I was really so crushed. I felt betrayed by life and everything, and I wanted a change, and that's why I decided to leave London as well. I wanted some kind of a fresh start. And
you really went all out. You went and moved. Where'd you go from there? You go to
I went to Barcelona, Spain. Okay. Yeah, I got I don't know if you believe in destiny or anything. I don't know if I believe in destiny myself. The thing is I just on one day I was just upset. I went on LinkedIn. I searched for a job in Barcelona. I found one. I didn't even know that company that was hiring, but apparently it was a big one. And I applied, and they called me a few days later, and I got a first job interview the following week, and then I got the job after a couple of weeks. So it's not like I've been job hunting or I've been trying things. It was just okay. Let's go to Barcelona, and then it worked out pretty easily. And then I decided to stay there. When I moved there, I kind of started to enjoy life a bit more, I guess.
Okay. I love that though. It's a good thing to hear because it probably allowed you to be more creative.
Yeah, I mean that for sure recharged me. Like I started to do different things, and for example, I started to spend more time on 3D design. I started to study more Blender. I don't know if you know it.
Yes, I love
Yeah,
Blender.
yeah. So I did more things with that. So, but the thing is, like, I was not working on a project anymore, so I could do whatever I wanted. If I wanted to spend like 2 months on Blender, and then I wanted to do something different the next month, I was doing. See? So yeah, I kept my mind free for all this time, and you know, time went by. Weeks became months, and then months became years, and I at the end, like, I moved to the US, and I think it's been mostly because of the whole COVID situation.
Hmm.
I moved here, and pretty much 2 weeks after I started my new job, I was moved to work from home. So, and there's been lockdowns, there's been the situation that we had and everything. So I didn't have a life for the full year, basically. So I also had nothing to do.
Mm.
And I started to work on that kind of like toy game I told you before,
Yes,
just
that's
to do
spring game.
something, so maybe I don't know, once again, Destiny or something.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like it was the time for you to start your
So
gaming.
yeah, I mean, now I felt like it was the time. I mean, I just felt like I wanted to do it, and I did it, and I've been working on that since then, basically.
Hmm. No, it's interesting how Destiny works, life works.
Yeah,
Can't
I don't know what
it?
it is.
It's weird because like it doesn't make sense. It shouldn't make sense. It shouldn't even work the way that it does. But it seems to work as in like things happen for a reason. Like, oh, I this happened and it made me not do that, so I ended up doing this. And then by not doing that, you were able to learn Blender, you're able to learn a lot of things that now when the opportunity calls for it, you're able to work on your game. Because I'm guessing you make all the assets, the 2D assets in Blender, or do you do that somewhere else?
No, actually, for now, I'm not using Blender. I'm using 2D software called Inkscape,
Okay.
and that's for vector graphics. It's basically something similar to Adobe Illustrator, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's what I'm using right now. In the future, maybe I will do something in Blender. I might as well do something like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean that's like that's a bullet I have. I might use it in the future. I don't know. So yeah, it's um it's an
So
option.
for in Inkscape,
Yeah.
did you learn that for the game, or did you learn that like
Oh no, I've been
before?
using that for a long time.
Okay. Just to
Yeah.
make graphics for like work or stuff? Or
Yeah, yeah, as well. I mean, it's something I use for vector graphics, for example, for user interfaces. I tend to use it for sketching things, and it's kind of like easy to use, and it's it's powerful enough for designing things, especially if you go for something like a flat look or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I've been using it for a good while, I would say, for several years.
hmm. Awesome. And then now I want to get into the C++ and the programming part of the game.
Yeah.
So did you choose C++? Is it because you know the language? It's just the most optimal?
Oh
What's
yeah, well, I'm a C++ developer.
hmm.
That's my background. That's what I studied when I was in uni, and then that's what I always been using for games. I did few little things in Java and Objective C when I was working on mobile games, but they were mostly low-level stuff, and then like everything on top was always C++. Uh, it's I mean, some people like it, some people don't. I personally am okay with it. It's just that that's the thing I know best.
Hmm.
So it makes sense, like, because many people, of course, they say, oh no, but you should be using Unity, for example, which is cool and everything. But the thing is, like, I've been a professional C++ developer for, I don't know, 15 years,
Hmm.
and I never used Unity. So for me, using Unity means starting from scratch,
Yeah.
which also means like I'm gonna be
More.
productive maybe in 6 months. So
Yeah.
like, maybe after 6 months I'll be much faster. Yeah, true. But in the meanwhile, you know, I keep
Yeah,
doing.
I think C++ is just better when it comes to making games. And now if you're using Unity, C Sharp, I mean, yeah, I still think because I like Unreal and C++.
Mhm.
But now for anybody who's learning how to make games, be a gameplay programmer specifically, what advice would you give? Like, what was your kind of study strategy when you were starting to learn out? Was it easy for you programming, or was it kind of difficult?
Oh well, uh, I can tell you, programming in general can be easy. Doing it right is not. You
Mm,
need experience and you need to study and learn things that are not always obvious. Like learning a language is only a first step. Saying I know C++ or I know C Sharp is not going to make you a good programmer. Because at the end of the day, you have to solve problems in an optimized way.
mm-hmm.
Because you can do things in so many ways that's just like silly saying I'm going to use this language things or I'm going to use this engine, things are going to be just fine. You need to know the way of reasoning and the way of solving problems for getting things that are just good enough for a game. And modern hardware is helping people a lot. They can get with like a lot of like maybe unoptimized code or suboptimal algorithms and so on. But the truth is, like, if you start to do things that are a bit more serious than a match three game, for example, sooner or later you will get problems in terms of performance, or in terms of bugs, or in terms of maintaining your code. Because at the end of the day, creating something quick, like for a game jam, for example, can be easy and can be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But creating a project that you're gonna be maintaining for years, that's the real challenge. And that requires experience. That requires reading and studying about software development and software design, all these kind of things, and also trying to learn from what you do. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Because it's problem solving with programming is frustrating, at least for me. Because at first I always thought it was just learn how to program and you'll be set. But
Yeah.
it's like first you have to learn how to solve the problem, then understand it, and then use the code to write the solution, essentially. So it's a complicated thing. And I was wondering if you had like ever struggled with learning, and if you did not have any tips to help anybody who like struggling or maybe having a hard time to grasp the difference between like solving a problem and then writing the code that's optimal for
Yeah.
that.
Well, I would say like the learning is very subjective because
Okay.
different people learn in different ways. So there's never really going to be one answer that's going to fit everyone. One thing I can tell you is that some people are are better, for example, at learning on the field, let's say. So trying things, hacking things together and see what happens. Other people need more guidance. So maybe they need like an online course that might be something as simple as like I don't know, a video course on YouTube
Hmm.
or any website like doing this kind of like pre-recorded courses. Or some people maybe require something more interactive, like for example with an online tutor or a real life tutor, like a teacher
Yeah.
explaining things. So at the end of the day, very much depends on you. The way you're better at learning, you should go for that. And there's nothing wrong. There's no reason to be ashamed if you need like a teacher or something, because maybe you're just starting from scratch. And I've seen people. I read about people like online. Like I know there was one guy that was like doing. He was a truck driver, and then like he turned like 50. He decided to change his life, and he started to do coding, but he had to do he had to take like a course for that. He couldn't just go online, Google how to make a game, and he made a
Yeah.
game. Like
Doesn't work
when
for
you're
everyone.
starting from scratch and you have no absolutely zero experience before, you didn't study anything in school or in college or whatever, you need some help. So I guess it's all about you, your current skills, your current level, where you are in life. that depends on you. The thing is like try to find the way that works for you. And of course, the less experience you have, the more help you need usually. That's how it is.
Yeah, it's basically being humble and saying, "Hey, I need help. Here's my code. I know it might be bad, but I want to improve."
Yeah.
So it's yeah. So I gotta tell more people. I tell myself more to just put my code out there and have more people check it out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what was probably one of we already talked about maybe a few struggles you've gone through, but what is like another one that stands out where you went through like a dark time and you had to get through it?
Okay. Okay. I can probably tell you about two. The first one is kind of like a psychological struggle.
Okay.
The thing is like when you're making a game, it's going to be a long process. And you're going to spend a lot of time on it. You're going to spend a lot of resources in terms of time, your time mostly, or even money. Like at some point you will need to invest in advertising, or you will need to pay people for doing other things because pretty much nobody can do everything. So it's going to be a huge investment anyway. And of course, there are moments when you start to question yourself and you start to think, okay, what if I'm doing this for maybe 2 years and then it's going to sell 0? There's so many games on Steam that are even good, but they come out and they have like 5 reviews. And 5 reviews means 0 sales. Like it's like that. There's no magic thing behind. If a game is like no reviews, yes, no sales. It's not like some games are special and they get no reviews because people are just lazy. No, if a game is selling well, it's gonna get many reviews. So, I mean, there's all the failures. You could be the next one, and working hard every day for years maybe. It's not easy when it's a possibility. So, and also like you go around, for example, you're on social media and you see like a guy maybe posting a GIF of a virtual dog or something, and he's getting 500 likes and 1,000 retweets.
Why not my game?
Yeah, I mean, you say, why? What's wrong with my game? What's wrong with people? Like, why they hate me or something like that? The thing is like. Sometimes I struggle with that a bit, and also like I see other games maybe like that clearly are doing better or are going to do better. The secret, the thing that's calming me down and the thing that's moving me forward basically is thinking that I'm not playing against everyone else. I'm creating something. And my goal is to find enough people that like it, that enjoy it, for me to make a living out of it and to keep working on it. So if you look like any news website about games or something like that, and you compare yourself to the current big hit, if you compare yourself to Valheim, for example, or any AAA game.
Like all the PlayStation games.
Yeah, like you're never gonna get there. Like I mean, maybe there are of course there are few solo developers that made it, like selling million copies. Yeah, that's a possibility, but the reality is that that's like winning a lottery. What you want to do? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if your end goal is to become a millionaire with one game, you should probably go out and buy a lottery ticket because that's gonna give you probably more chance. But if you keep it real and you say, okay, for example, my goal for this game is selling 20,000 copies. So that's still like a good number. But it's something I believe that's achievable. If you do marketing right, if you do things right, if you give people a good game, that's something that I can achieve. And that's not going to make me famous. That's not going to make me rich. But that's going to make things work. So the secret for me is like being real, like being realistic and being real. Like don't think you're gonna be the next Valheim or the next super famous, the next what would we say before, Minecraft.
Oh yeah, Minecraft or
Yeah,
Fortnite or
yeah,
other
like
things that weren't supposed to be successful but ended up being successful. And you're like,
it
wow,
happened. But
yeah,
if you check Twitter, if you check like forums and so on, there's one Minecraft, and then there's like a million of failed projects.
clones.
So yeah, or even clones, like like you for
Technically, Fortnite was trying to be Minecraft. That's why they have this building mechanics and a funny character design. And it was always supposed to be a single player game until that one day when they were like, you know what? Seems to be a trend of battle royales. Let's make our own. And who would have known? Who would have known it would be as big as it is now? But yeah, isn't that crazy? Clones of Minecraft because it worked. And there's thousands of them on the store. But only one we know. Only one we remember.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it feels a bit random. Maybe it is, but the thing is, like, yeah, just don't compare yourself to the big players until you're one, at least, because otherwise that's gonna make your life hard. Yeah, that's what I can say.
So I like how you're being realistic, but how do you stay realistic and also stay, I would say, like happy and content that you're moving towards where you want to go? Because I know a lot of people, it's in a weird way where it's like the people who are kind of, I wouldn't say delusional, but over optimistic are the
Mhm.
ones that get hurt the most when things don't turn out the way they want to. But the person who's not, is more realistic gets maybe a better result because they weren't expecting that much. But like, are you as fulfilled? Are you as happy, even though it's maybe not something grand?
Yeah, no, the thing is, like, for me, the real goal is not a number. For me, a real goal is going to be a different life. And by different life, I mean uh, quitting my current day job
Yeah.
and working on games full time. Eventually, it will be creating a company, so having more people working with me and maybe doing better games. But the main thing for me will be working on games. So that's my goal. To get to
Okay.
that, I need, for example, 20,000 copies.
Mhm.
And for me, that's important. Then, if I can get to 100,000, uh, it's going to be better. Of course, yeah, I'm gonna make more money and everything is going to be better. But as long as I can get to my main goal, which is going to be becoming a full-time indie developer, I'm happy, and I'm working for that. So yeah, I think that's the main thing. Like having like a realistic goal, and then whatever else is gonna come out of it, good for you. But otherwise, like uh, it's pretty. I think it's pretty useless to say I want to be the new Minecraft,
Yeah.
because statistically, like in terms of numbers, it's not going to happen. So of course you can say I want to be the new Michael Jordan, but it's probably not going to happen.
You can be
So
the new yourself, whatever that
yeah,
is.
yeah,
And it
absolutely.
doesn't, I think people get caught up in this trap of everything has to be an overabundance. It's not that you can have $100,000, I have to have a million. It's not that you have like someone that's beautiful, you have to have like a model or somebody that's like, whoa. It's like you get this concept where things have to be so awesome and epic for us to feel fulfilled, feel happy. And it's just like, you can be happy with so much less than you think. Just follow whatever makes you happy or whatever your end goal is. Like you just want to make a studio. Studio could be as big as the PlayStation studios, like God of War, Santa Monica Studios, or it could be just as big as something else. But still, you can make games that people care and love. And that's really all that
Absolutely.
matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, no,
So
I totally agree. Yeah.
I wonder, like, why we're so stuck in this obsession of more and more and more and
Well, the thing is,
grand.
like, the modern society, and this is not just about games. I mean, if you check social media,
Mhm.
if you go on Instagram, the popular things, the popular photos, the popular people are the ones that are super winners. Like the top model
Yeah.
or the basketball player, the millionaire, uh, and that's what you see. That's kind of like your role models. So that's what you're aiming for in the back of your
Yeah.
head at the
But
end.
that's just the image of themselves. It's
Yeah,
we don't know what goes on in their lives.
Oh, no, absolutely.
So
And
it's
yeah,
just, I'm like, why are we so trapped in trying to replace our life with someone else's when their life could be worse? It's just they got more money because they're famous, but maybe they don't want to be famous for that reason. It's like you don't know, and it's almost like getting stuck to a 9 to 5. It's like, what if they're stuck in their own fame
yeah,
and
maybe
how,
they
yeah,
cannot leave their home, otherwise someone is gonna kidnap them or
yeah, and it's
something
just
like
like, do you
that.
really
Like,
want
that's
that?
not a problem I have. I mean, if I go outside, I don't think anyone is gonna ask me for money.
Yeah, right. You're like, when is Virtual coming out? Where's my money?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you're
Gonna
like,
kill you if you don't finish games.
yeah. Or
Yeah.
paparazzi's like, look at
Yeah.
him. C++ developer. Yeah, it's just wild to me when all this happens.
At
But
the end of the day, I mean, if you're happy with the things you have and you do, you don't need to be Bill Gates. You can be like any other successful person, like in your terms, and you'll be happy. That's the thing. The sooner you learn that, the better.
hmm
But yeah, of course, it's not easy because the society we live in, it's not made for that. I mean, it's just showing you extremes. It's all about like 0 and 1 basically. You're a loser or you're a millionaire. In between,
Yeah,
like there's nothing. But
it's like in between is, oh, you're getting to the millionaire, but you haven't made it yet. And it's like, well, maybe I have. Why does my level of success depend on your happiness, your way you think I'm happy? Like I'm happy because I'm happy, whether you think I am or not. I'm successful because I think I am or not based on other external things. Now, sure, you can base maybe stability and like if the person's able to sustain certain things, but that's it. It doesn't have to do with happiness or success because that's on the individual.
yeah, absolutely. There are
Yeah.
different levels for different people.
Yeah, and it's also complicated because like maybe one success at the time is not someone else's like misfortune in the future. So
True
it's
that.
like, yeah, it's complicated. It's getting very philosophical,
Yeah, yeah. It's way beyond the game
right?
development. Yeah.
We- but uh, but yeah, so this has been so much fun. I want to know a little bit more about the game. So the game concept. How did you come up with this whole game at first? Did you want to make your own RTS and then say how can I make it like a little bit easier, or like how did you
Yeah,
come up with the title and
basically,
everything?
I've always been a big fan of strategy games in general,
hmm
both turn-based and real-time games. And I started with the classics, something like Dune 2 or Command and Conquer, this kind of games. Uh, and then I play a Company of Heroes and so on. So I play many. I always loved them. I always wanted to make one. And as I said, like last year, I started to work on this kind of like toy project, and that was supposed some kind of like a risk. So it's kind of like, but like a real-time version. And I went from there, and I started to imagine like how I could like improve things. How, for example, I could make things more interesting, and I started to think about the new features, and I
hmm
started to write ideas down, and then I got to a point where I had enough ideas that I could create something original.
Okay.
And when I got to that point, I started to implement things. And but right now, I still don't have like 100% plan for the game. So much is going to be implementing things and seeing how they feel, how they play out. Like so. Because for example, right now, my idea is that. Well, as I told you, this is not going to be a super classic RTS game because I want to try to create something a bit different. And one idea is that you can control your units like in a RTS, but you can handle them like in an RPG. And part of the gameplay will be the one of a tower defense. So you will be able to play
Mm.
uh, and you will be able to attack your enemies with your main units or creating like mini units that are going to be like you don't have like for example direct control on them.
hmm
You can only send them like over the base of your opponent, and so there will be this kind of mix of classic RTS with your 9 main units that
Okay.
you can control like an RTS, and then there will be this kind of like part that's going to be a tower defense where you basically define you create these mini units and you send them like to maybe destroy a defensive tower or something.
That's gonna be a lot of fun to play. I can't wait. 'Cause I love
So,
tower defense games, love RPGs, love
oh, that's
RTSs. So you put it all three in one, like I'm sold. And so where can people find out more about this game? Is it, you have a Steam page, you also have a YouTube, and
Yes,
where else
yes,
can they
absolutely.
go?
There's a Steam page that went live today. So this morning, this has been a long day. I can tell you that.
It's been a busy day.
Yeah,
I
busy day,
love it.
sure.
Getting
Busy.
after it.
Thanks. And so yeah, there's a Steam page now. You can look for Virtual. Like I don't know if you can leave like a link in the video description maybe
Oh
later.
yeah, I'll put the links in the YouTube podcast
Yeah,
descriptions.
yeah.
It'll be everywhere. Just check the details.
So that's great. So people can go there, and I will really appreciate if they like the game, of course, if they could wish list it, because that's gonna help me with Steam basically. Because the way Steam works is that the more wish list you get, the more important your game Steam think it is.
Hmm.
So when it's about to get launched, you're gonna be shown to more people, and then you're gonna get in the new and trending section, like the upcoming popular games, these kind of things. So basically, my job as a game developer slash marketer for the next year or so would be to get as many wish lists as I can,
Okay.
and that's going to be something I have to do. And that's also a reason why I started so early to show things to people, because I simply don't have the guns. I don't have the bandwidth to create a page 1 month before release and then like get, I don't know, 50,000 wish lists. It's just something I'm not able to do, or pretty much any indie developer able to do. So over 1 year, I hope that I'll be able to get enough wish lists to get the game the proper highs for Steam at least. And I also have like a Discord server, and I believe in open development. That's something I wanted to say as well, because basically I'm making this game because I like it. As I said, I'm a big fan of strategy games, but at the same time, I'm making this game for people to enjoy. So it's not going to be something like me working in my bedroom or in my home office for a year and then giving you the game and you can like it or not. It's going to be an open process, so people can join my Discord server. Soon there will be a first alpha where
Okay.
people will be able to try the game, and they can give me feedback. They already been voting for features. Like I've been asking them, for example, to choose the image for Steam, or I've been asking them what feature I should implement next during development. So I'm already been involving them, and the moment that they will start to play the game, they will be able to report bugs there or to tell me, maybe you could try this feature, and I'll see what I can do. Of course, I cannot do like everything everyone
Oh
is
yeah, of
saying,
course.
but I tend to be very focused on what people say, and I tend to listen to them. And if something makes sense, I'm not one of those people that are, oh no, I want to do that. That's going to be red, and that's how I decided. So I'm not going to change it. If like I see like then 10 people are telling me that maybe that should be green, I think about it, and if it makes sense, that's going to be green, even if at first I made it red, because in the end I'm making this game for the people, So
Exactly. They're the people who buy it.
yeah, I mean. I'm not saying I'm some kind of like a slave and I have no I'm just gonna be someone pushing buttons and I'm gonna do what others say. Of
Hmm.
course, I'm gonna decide the main things and I'm gonna direct the development and everything. But I strongly believe that the community can help me with that.
Hmm. It just makes sense, and also it allows the community, the fans, to get involved and feel like they're actually engaging with you. And then at the end of the product, it's the game they actually wanted to play, or they even get excited because they're like, "I told him to do that. He made it. I'm getting to experience it. It's exciting." So just
Oh
from
yeah.
all, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, it's very rewarding for them. I mean, I got like someone tell me, "Oh, cool, you implemented something I suggested." Maybe I implemented it after 1 month after, because it took me time.
Hmm.
But that person remembered that he suggested that feature, so and he was happy with that. Like, and we're not talking about a AAA game or something that's already released or something famous or anything. For now, it was just something he was seeing on screen. But just because I made something he suggested, he was happy. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that works
See,
both ways.
there we go. Well, awesome. I loved hearing about the game and your story and all that stuff. And before we wrap it up, I'd like to ask you to give the listeners a challenge. Small challenge, could be anything related, could be programming, could be design, anything game dev related. Just any type of challenge, whatever you can think of at the moment, and take your time.
Yeah. Well, one challenge that's something I'm gonna face rather than I'm facing already. But I know something I'm gonna face is gonna be with the AI of the game. It's not gonna be easy, and especially for a game like this, where things are pretty much open, it's not gonna be easy to develop. It's not gonna be easy to test. It will be likely it will take a lot of work, and it will not be perfect at first, because it's like working on AI is not something simple.
Not at all.
There are a lot of things that you just don't see. I mean, and you don't realize why maybe the AI is doing something, and to figure that out might take a good while. So I know I'm going to struggle with that, but I'm up for the challenge, and I hope I'll be able to come up with something good. I hope like also people will help with testing. So yeah, that's going to be something for sure that's going to be challenging.
That's funny because I asked you to create a challenge for the guests, but then you talked about your own challenge.
What I meant was like, yeah, I didn't get that.
No, it's all good.
So no, because before you asked me like about challenge for, so you want me to create a challenge for the guests, like about what?
Yeah, like a short challenge that you can just think of. Could be programming related, game design related.
Okay, cool. I challenge them to create a simple full game, and by that I mean like it could be even, I don't know, Pong or anything, Space Invaders, anything simple, but he has to be a full game, something that where you can go to the main menu, you can start a new game, you can play, I don't know, you can play it, and then you have like, I don't know, something like score or something, and then you can go back to the main menu, and you can do something like go to the settings or go to the credits, or so the full experience. And the challenge there is that it's very easy to make something specific or something limited, like for example only the game menu, or only one level, or just the one, I don't know, like a tech demo or something. Creating a full application, like something that works from the beginning, from the main menu to the end until the user quits, that's a real challenge. And if you can do that, you already have like the basics for creating complex games, because at the end of the day, the structure is going to stay, and the idea is that you just have to add more stuff. But I want people to create something complete, like a full game, like as simple as it can be.
No, that challenge is going to be perfect for our community, because we have courses that teach you how to make certain games with different techniques and like fundamentals of how to program. So sometimes you get a game where it's like almost complete. Maybe they'll teach you the main menu in one section, but then like a third they don't, and then they have like one level made, and it's like the challenge from then on is like either you make your own or you go to the next section. But now you're challenging them to take one of those sections and say, make this into a full game with a start menu, with settings, with a quit, with credits, and then have like 10 levels, and just like boom. It can be so simple. It doesn't have to be complicated levels.
Absolutely.
Nothing complicated. Yeah. So no, this is gonna be a perfect challenge for the GameDev.tv community. And also, thank you for coming on. This has been a lot of fun, David.
Thank you for having me today. It's been a great chat. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to just do one last thing where I hand the mic to you to do any last minute shout outs, quotes, tips, whatever you want to end the podcast off. And thank you for coming on, and the mic's all yours.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This has been a surprise when you messaged me. I wasn't expecting that, but I was really happy. I was looking forward to today, and it's been a great chat. I enjoyed like talking about something I love. So it's been very good, and I hope people will take some time to check out my game, and eventually to wishlist and follow it, because that's gonna help me, as I said, with Steam and everything. I hope they will like it.
Well, that's it. Thanks for listening. You can find all courses at GameDev.tv or in the show notes at a discounted price. Get started with your game development journey today.